You're listening to the Balanced Educator Podcast, episode number 1. Welcome to the Balanced Educator. We're your hosts, Kaylee
and Josiane from Educalm. Our intention is to equip and empower you to feel more calm, balanced, and joyful in all aspects of your life.
In this episode, we're sharing our story and what brought us to starting Educalm and this podcast. Let's get started. So, Josiane, you and I are both educators, but we started off a little bit different. Our careers went in different paths. Can you start us off and maybe just tell us a story about what it was like when you were first starting your career as an educator?
Yeah, so actually Kaylee and I, for those who don't know, we met in education in our degree. And I actually trained in high school to be a high school teacher in French and psychology. And that ended up not happening. I got a job in grade 4 in elementary school, and it was shocking. And I decided to take the job because I was like, why not? And it turned out to be this amazing experience for me. But Kaylee here, actually, you were in high school. So tell us a little bit about the beginnings of your journey.
Yeah, so ever since I was a kid, I've always just been obsessed with science. Like, I was a huge science nerd. I loved biology and learning about all things about the body. So I knew from the time I was in high school exactly the trajectory I wanted. I wanted to go to university, and I wanted to study biology, and then I wanted to become a high school biology teacher. So that's how my career started. I started off teaching high school science, so grade 9 and 10 science, a little bit of biology, a little bit of psychology, and it was exactly the path that I planned on taking, but it didn't turn out to be exactly what I thought it would be. So yeah, it was a fun start, but just like anyone starting out in education, there's so much on your plate, and you just really want to do a good job. So I loved what I was teaching, and I loved the school that I was at, and I was just obsessed with making the best lessons, the best plans for my class. Mm-hmm. And just like anyone in education, those first couple of years are tough because you have so much to figure out.
Yeah, especially when you're a perfectionist like we are. We had to learn how to tone that down a little bit at the beginning, I think.
Oh my gosh, totally. Okay, how many times did you create a lesson plan and like go over it meticulously and make sure there's no mistakes, and you look over it a million times, and then the second you put it in front of your students, you notice that there's like a spelling error or you forgot punctuation somewhere? Oh my God, how frustrating is that?
You have to learn to just let it go.
Oh man, that was definitely the first lesson I learned, was like, it's not going to be perfect the first time, so just chill out, let it not be perfect. Give it out, try it out, test it out, and then improve later. But that was a big learning curve for me. Yeah. So tell me more about your career. So you trained for high school. That's what you learned in university. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you're thrown into an elementary school. What was that like?
Yeah. And not only that, but I was like obsessed with arts, like math and science. To me, I was like, oh, I'll never teach that. And then, I mean, granted, it was just grade 4, but I was teaching math and science to grade 4 students. So that was a learning curve in itself. It was a challenge at first, just not knowing what I was doing. Like, I remember asking as many people as I could, as many people as I knew that taught grades around there, if I like for information, for anything they would give me, but I was just so nervous to get started. So
yeah. So, okay, my question is, in high school, even just the schedule of the day, like in high school, you have different periods, you have lots of different students because you have different students for every course that you teach. And then here you are in grade 4 with the same kids all day, and it's a totally different structure. What was that like?
I didn't think I would like it, to be honest. And actually, I loved it because I could really get to know the kids. That made such a difference, like to work with them, to implement the routine and keep the routine. I actually ended up loving it so much more. So it was a blessing that my career took me to that grade.
And you ended up being such a good elementary school teacher. Like, oh my gosh, the kids loved you. It totally ended up being your calling in the end. I love that.
Yeah, it totally was.
Yeah. I like that you brought up that point, because that was one thing that I had a really hard time with teaching high school, because before I started teaching, I did a lot of tutoring. And I also worked as an educational assistant in schools. So I was always working one-on-one with my students at the time.
Yeah.
And then once I started teaching full-time, and all of a sudden I had hundreds of students, you know, on my radar that I was teaching in multiple different courses, making that connection was really something that I was missing. And I felt it was really hard on me when I felt like I couldn't reach every single student. And I felt very overloaded by just the lack of time to really get to know these kids and be an important part of their life, and be able to support them in the ways that they needed. But when you have 30 kids in one classroom, you're just trying to survive. So yeah.
And you know what, I even felt like that in grade 4. Like, even though I had the kids all day, I still felt like I couldn't support each one of them the way that I wanted to, you know?
Yeah. You just want to be everything to these kids, right? You want to be able to like fill all of their needs, and especially when you can recognize what their needs are, but you maybe don't have the time or the resources to be able to reach those needs for every student. Oh man, that's tough.
Yeah. And actually that was kind of the issue for me, is that I tried to be everything for everyone and I couldn't do it. It was too much.
Yeah.
I started putting them before me, actually, which became a huge issue. So how did you feel?
Oh my gosh, I was totally the same way. In that first year of teaching, I was staying at school till like 7 p.m., 8 p.m.
I remember I was going to say, sometimes I remember you staying until 10 p.m.
Oh, it was ridiculous. But at the time, like, honestly, while I was doing the work, I was excited, because when I was staying that late, it's because I was making an awesome lesson for my kids, and I was, preparing a really cool lab that I couldn't wait to share with them. So it all felt worth it, and I was enjoying it at the time. And so really the like exhaustion and near burnout really snuck up on me, towards mid to end of the year, when I was like, I just can't keep up this pace anymore. This is not a livable pace. And so that's when I really had to start asking myself some hard questions of like, how can I dial back the amount of hours I'm putting in and be okay with the fact that I'm not doing as much as I would like to do for my students? That was kind of the tipping point for me when I started really asking some big questions of like, how can I make this a career, or how can I set up my life in a way that works for me while doing what I love? Yeah.
And what I found was that I would wake up, run around, get ready for work, and then I would go to work. And with the younger ones, I wasn't working quite as many hours as I remember, but it was like higher energy all day long. Like I had to be on my A game all day long. And then I would stay maybe a couple hours after, but then I would find myself going home and just getting ready for the next day again. Like I never fully gave myself that time just to take care of myself. It was like I would come home, make supper, make my lunch, and try to wind down so I could sleep well, which I often didn't, to kind of get up again and do it all over again. So it was pretty intense.
Yeah.
I was pretty done by Friday night.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you kind of feel like you're on this hamster wheel and you never get this time to breathe. Like you're just, while you're in the day, you're go, go, go all day, trying to squeeze as much into your day, trying to do all the meetings, communicate with all the parents, help all the kids and do all those things. And then you get home and you're like, oh my God, I have like an hour or two to just like get ready to be functional tomorrow.
So crazy.
Yeah. Making your lunch and trying to get to bed and settle down.
What did you do? What changes did you make? Tell me about that.
Well, it really all started in a fun way. So yeah, I love that your journey brought you to elementary school, and then I had a similar experience. So that first year I was on a term position teaching high school, and it was my dream job, and I loved it even though I worked too much. And then the next year, the position that was available to me at that school was still teaching math and science, but it was in grade 7 and 8. So I was now going to be working in middle school, which was only going to be a 1-year thing. And then they were going to bring me back into high school. So I, expected that to just be a 1-year thing. And I ended up really loving it and also being very challenged by middle school. So in middle school, the pace is slower. So you get through the material not as quickly as you do in high school, especially I was teaching grade 12 and stuff like that. So you're going through a lot of material. But like you said, with the younger kids, it's more about having lots of energy during the day. So they were they used a lot more of my energy during the day because you're always trying to like help them refocus and bring down the excitement in the classroom. They come in after lunch and they're just bouncing off the walls.
Yeah.
So it was really in that second year of teaching that I hit kind of a burnout phase where I was like, I can't sustain this level of working so many hours and coaching volleyball and, you know, doing all the extracurricular stuff on top of it, and still be able to take care of myself in a way that like I physically need to. Like I physically need to do yoga, go to the gym, move my body in ways that feel good if I want to be able to perform at my best. And I had totally cut out all of those self-care practices that I needed to be the best version of myself. And then I was recognizing that in the classroom that I just didn't have the energy that I wanted to be able to have for my students. Yeah. So that was that tipping point. And then I was like, okay, how do I make this happen? Like I can't make more hours in the day. What about you? What was your tipping point?
Mine was a little bit different. My first year obviously was just really difficult because it was my first year of teaching. And I kind of just recognized that it was my first year and that would be over and then it would get better the second year. The second year I taught grade 4 and 5. So that was another challenge. So it turned out to be another heavy year in terms of like creating material and learning how to like teach math to 2 different grades at once. And so that was quite challenging. So in those years, I felt tired as it was. But in my third year, I had such an awesome class. Like it was the perfect class, but yet I still had a hard time finding time for myself. But it was in that last year that I just couldn't even function hardly anymore. I had a more difficult classroom or challenging classroom, I should say. And that's really last year that I realized that like I need to take care of myself. And before then I would take care of myself when I was in university. Like you were saying, like you and I used to work out together, right?
We went to the gym like between classes. Yeah. We must have been going to the gym together every day.
Yeah, and we were playing
volleyball
yoga.
And yoga. Yeah. We were moving our bodies a lot, and both of us, like, that's just what our bodies like, is a lot of movement, which is why we chose to be teachers where we're not sitting down. We're like up on our feet all day because we have that energy that like needs to get out.
Last year I just really noticed like my body started hurting. I didn't feel like getting up anymore to go to work. I was so exhausted at the end of each day. Like instead of doing things that I loved in the evenings, I would just kind of flop on the couch and just watch TV. So that's really when I realized that like I needed to start implementing changes in my life.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember when I got to my like most on the verge of burnout phase, when I would get home and I would just like shovel down whatever food and for supper and whatever was easy, and then I would flop down on the couch and I would fall asleep within seconds. Like I would just fall asleep on the couch every night. I had no energy, like you said, to do the things that I loved, that like filled me up, that brought me joy, that actually fueled me to be a better teacher the next day. So that's when it was that difficult point that it was like, okay, I need to make a change.
Yeah. And I think this is something that a lot of teachers struggle with, and this is why we're here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They love what they do. We loved what we did. We loved being teachers.
Oh my God, I loved it so much.
We would talk about what we did in class all the time, and we loved it. That's all we talked about. It was our life, but we poured too much into it was really the issue.
And that was the thing. It's like we didn't recognize that we were pouring too much of ourselves into it until we were completely burnt out and we were like, okay, this is not okay. What can we do to fix this? So for me, around that tipping point, so what ended up happening is my husband and I moved to a small town. So I changed schools because we were moving. And I took on a term position that only went till Christmas. So after the Christmas break, there wasn't anything planned for me career-wise. So I decided to take that opportunity to go and do my yoga teacher training, which was something that I had on my mind for a long time. We've been practicing yoga together forever. And I just kind of had this like intuitive feeling that I was like, this is the moment for me. Now is the right time to go do this yoga teacher training now that I have this break in my career. So I ended up going to Nicaragua to do my yoga teacher training in January and learned so much from that in terms of having a daily meditation practice. And that's when I really started to get ideas of like how I could bring this into the classroom in a bigger way. So while I was teaching those first couple of years, I was practicing meditation from time to time, but it was mostly like when I couldn't fall asleep at night, I'd put on like a guided meditation to help me fall asleep. It wasn't a daily practice that I was doing. And I did recognize that it helped me when I was feeling overwhelmed. So sometimes I would do a guided meditation with my students in the classroom when they were feeling overwhelmed, but it never really worked out very well because it would take me like 10 minutes just to get them to sit still. And then I'd try to guide them through this guided mindfulness practice and they'd just be giggling and laughing. And it caused me and them more stress than if we had just not done it. So I was like, I knew that was something I wanted to bring to the classroom, but I just didn't have the tools to know how yet. So when I went to my teacher training to become a yoga teacher, we had a very strict schedule during the day, and I learned the importance of a daily meditation practice or mindfulness practice because it's about the long run, right? It's not like I can't do one meditation practice and like be awesome. It's kind of a daily thing, and it grows over time. The things that you learn every day multiply until one day all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I have these tools to see my life differently. Cool. So it was from there that I came back from my yoga teacher training and magically a job opened up for me to teach in grade 6 in that same school that I had done my term at the beginning of the year. So going in, I was like, okay, I have my plan now. And I knew exactly how I wanted to bring this to the classroom. And also I knew exactly what I needed to do to keep myself filled up. So that's when I started practicing mindfulness or a meditation practice every morning before I went to school. And then also throughout the day, because I had a challenging group that year as well too. They took a lot of my energy. So I went in with a plan and that really helped. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a little bit different. For me, it was last year, the first term, I was burnt out. There's no other way to put it. And during Christmas break, I went on a trip and I just had so much fun and I felt so relaxed. And that's when I decided like, this is the state I want to be in, right? Like, this is it. So for me, it started with a gratitude journal, actually. I started just really noticing the good things in my life. So it just started like that for a few months. That's all it was. Every day I would write in a gratitude journal. And then I started doing that in my classroom. And then I was like, okay, I want to take this a step further now. So I started like a 5-minute meditation a day. So I would wake up early and just do 5 minutes of meditation.
I think I started with 2 minutes some
Yeah.
days. I was like, 5 minutes is too long.
Yeah.
I don't have 5 minutes in the day. Let's do 2 minutes.
2 minutes is better than 0 minutes.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Oh my God, that was my mindset. Yeah.
Yeah. And then by the spring, I actually started waking up an hour earlier than I would have normally. And I would run in the morning because I loved running. I would run for like 20 minutes with my dog, and then I would do stretching and a 5-minute meditation. And then I would go to work. And then in the evenings, I would do a gratitude journal. And it really changed my life. Like it changed my life. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah. Wow. It's crazy how just like shifting, creating these little habits made such a difference for you.
Yeah.
So how did you find the time? I mean, when you're overwhelmed with work and you have like a million things on the first thing you think of is like, where am I going to find time to take care of myself?
So the sentence, good enough is good enough, entered my life. And I was leaving work almost like maybe half an hour after work instead of like a couple hours later. I forced myself to. And at first I felt guilty. Mm-hmm. And then I realized that I was actually 100% a better teacher for leaving early.
Oh my God. That's
like,
I just got goosebumps.
For sure.
Isn't that the truth though? Like when we put too much of ourselves into our work, all of a sudden we hit this tipping point where we're actually not the best version of ourselves as a teacher anymore because we're burnt out. And like, who would have thought that actually leaving work earlier probably made your students like better students? Like you probably had a better classroom dynamic.
Yeah. Everything got better after that.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
That's so cool. So it just started with a gratitude journal. I forgot about that. That actually, I had done that too when I was like almost burnt out when I was teaching grade 8. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to find 3 things that I'm grateful for every day. And that really, really changed. That really changed things.
It all changed things so much that Kaylee and I decided to do this full time. So so now we're showing other people how to manage their stress and find more balance in their life.
Yes, that is exactly what we're here to do now. We've been through it. We've been through the mud, and we've found ways to joyfully dig ourselves out and find this place where when we fill ourselves first, we're able to be the best for the people around us. And we're so excited to share these things with you guys in future episodes. And we'll talk more about exactly what we did in the classroom and what we did for ourselves. So hopefully you can get more joy, calm, peace, and balance in your lives as well. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the next episode. And if you want to see what we're up to between now and next week's episode, you can follow us on Instagram at Educalm, EduCalme.